On behalf of the Badminton Pan American Confederation, we would like to warmly welcome you to our Coach Corner program. My name is Richard Wong, and it is my pleasure to be today's moderator. Welcome to this new season of BPAC Coach Corner program. It is an honor to introduce you to our next lecturer, a leading expert in education, Professor Donal Ohallaran. With an extensive track record in developing training programs in Wales, in his presentation today, he will take us on a tour of the process of training coaches and will provide us with critical and proactive look at how to strengthen the growth of badminton globally. Before starting this presentation, allow me to share a little about his impressive journey. As Wales's national youth coach, he has developed top junior players, achieving European under-17 successes in 2022, 2023, and 2025. He is certified by CIMM SPA in 2024. He specializes in coach education. He has contributed to BWF coach education restructuring, and as a former Irish international player, holds degrees in physiology. He currently tutors badminton in Ireland and Wales. Welcome to Coach Corner, Professor Donal, and thank you for joining us from your home in Cardiff, United Kingdom. We invite you to take control and share your screen.
First of all, let me thank you for the opportunity that you give me. I'm absolutely delighted to be here, and I certainly hope that I can add some value to the guests here tonight. Let me just share this screen. When I was asked to do this, I really didn't know what to say, but I just wanted to put some thoughts together about how I consider coach education and the way we deliver it, especially within Badminton Wales at the moment. A little bit before I start, I suppose I should say a few things about myself. I am from the very west of Ireland, a small town in a very rural part, and I grew up where badminton was not played. It was not an important sport. But I can say that probably from the age of 14, every major decision that I have taken has been driven by a desire and a passion to play badminton, to be part of a badminton community. It became the sport that I was most interested in. So when I was 17, I went to university in Dublin because that's where the badminton was played. I became a tutor in Badminton Ireland and part of their education system. And I stayed in Ireland until the Beijing Olympic Games, where I finished my time. I finished my contract in Badminton Ireland. I moved across to Wales, where my wife lived, who is a neurophysiotherapist. And I have two wonderful children, Gethin and Nia, Nia is waving to you there. And I was hired in 2017 to be the national junior coach. At the time, there wasn't, a position didn't exist within that side of it. And we were rebuilding a junior program. Subsequently, and I think everybody here that is involved in national governing bodies will understand there is never just one job. So I have lots of hats that I wear when I'm with Badminton Wales, doing a variety of different tasks. But my main interests are at the moment, I am our education lead. I also deal with anti-doping. And I'm a regional community manager, which interacts directly with the clubs. The other thing that I'm quite proud of at the moment in my own development was we are the first group of individuals that became a CIMSPA chartered coach developer. and that was a 2-year-long program that I will talk a little bit about later because it's part of the way I see the future of coach education. I am very, very definitely passionate about badminton. I can say that with absolute certainty. Where Badminton Wales is at the moment is another driving force in my thoughts and my what we aspire to be. We currently have approximately 1,600 members. This is down from at its height in the 80s of around 5,000 to 6,000. We have 65 clubs, both senior and junior. There are, outside of Badminton Wales, there are 2 professional coaches who are doing delivering specifically with a wage in mind. We have an annual budget of roughly £310,000, and it is entirely based on Sport Wales funding. And we have a year-on-year funding model. And that in itself causes quite a few issues one way or the other because of long-term planning. But we have pretty much turned a corner from my perspective. At our lowest, we had nearly, maybe only 800 members. But we have a very good staff at the moment, led by Kelly Aston. Some of you may remember her as Kelly Morgan, as an international badminton player, Commonwealth Games gold medalist. And we have now 9 staff, 7 of whom are full-time. And we have a very active board who are committed and determined to drive success of badminton within that side. This is the biggest Badminton Wales has ever been, excuse me. And I think it's a testament to some of the really good work that has been done by our community managers and some of our new initiatives, and as I said, led by Kelly, who has done some great work in that perspective. But badminton has been very much a traditional sport within Wales, and it has been struggling, and we need to change how we're going about our business. When I got involved in coach education, it really came down to a question that I always thought to myself, I have 2 wonderful children. Who would I trust to look after the long-term well-being of my children and provide them with the best opportunity to achieve in badminton, possibly to an elite level? Who in Wales is capable of delivering that side of it? And I wasn't able to answer that question confidently. I knew a few people, but not many. And I look back in my time, and I was very fortunate that the person on the top left screen is a man called Jerry Braden, who was in charge of the club that I was in. And if he was in Wales, I would trust him with my children. He was brilliant and caring and compassionate and knowledgeable, and he tried everything he could for our benefit. He wasn't a badminton player of any level. He was a grassroots coach. 2 other coaches that have significantly influenced me is the gentleman in the middle is a man called Tommy Reedy, who is another Irish guy who played for the USA in the '92 Olympics. He lives in Sweden and he's a coach there. I have tremendous respect for the way he delivers his coaching. And the man on the bottom, who you may recognize, is Bo Mosegard of Denmark, who was national coach in Ireland a few years ago. And I think I learned quite a great deal from Bo, and I think he is an outstanding individual. Yes, I think if you ever get an opportunity to talk to him about badminton, he definitely has strong opinions. Badminton has always been a traditional sport. I have been part of that tradition, both in Ireland, founding members of the IBF 100 years ago, the first ever internationals. It is very traditional. But it needs to innovate. It needs to be different. It needs to be better. We need to be able to keep our traditions, but we need to be not stuck to them, not look back at the good old days. This happens frequently in Wales. We had 6,000 members. It was really good. We don't have them anymore. So we need to make sure that we can balance these innovations and our traditions. And for me, this is it's really, really exciting in Badminton Wales at the moment for me, because we have an opportunity to do things a little bit differently. And certainly from what we have in the history of Badminton Wales. I got into a lot of trouble when I made this statement because it was in a public forum, and it was with a lot of different people. And I said, why we will remain crap, and I apologize for the language, why we will remain crap if we continue to do what we have always done, or if we copy somebody else blindly. And often we have these fantastic ideas that are delivered in other places, and we say we just transport it over here and we copy it without that sort of a consideration. I think this has been one of the great drivers for myself in terms of especially coach education, but NGB structure anyway. We have to be able to move away from what we have always done if it needs to. We need to innovate if that's appropriate. But we cannot just take something else that is done in another country and bring it to our own and say it will definitely work here. We have to be able to adapt it to our culture, to our structures, to our strengths, and develop from there. So take the good bits and then be able to tweak them to make sure that our association gets a little bit better. In 2017, or just before I joined Badminton Wales, the then head of Badminton Wales was Matt Hughes, was another Welsh international, top, I think he was certainly top 15 in the world, very good player. But he moved our coach education syllabus from the UKCC, which is traditional in Britain, and he moved it across to the BWF education. So there's shuttle time, level 1, 2, and 3. Last year was our first running of a BWF level 2, and I'm very, very grateful for Martin van Dormelen for taking that course. It was absolutely outstandingly good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. He scares me, so if you're there, Martin, I apologize, but you still scare me. But it was a really, really good introduction, a really good course for all the participants on it, and it has stood us in great stead. But I don't believe in general that our coach education syllabus is fit for purpose. I believe the content is correct. We have brilliant people delivering, but I have never come across the end of a coach education course where everybody is better. They're finished the course and then they start becoming a good coach subsequently. This isn't unique to badminton either. It's certainly over here. We've had a pathway meeting with 30 different sports, and almost every single one of them say coaching needs to be better. So I think it's really, really important that we analyze why we do things. And one of the slides that I've been on a course fairly recently, and one of the slides they use is the Einstein quote, where education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. And I think that override of coaching, that is precisely what it is. It's not about, if I want to know how to hold a racket, what my grip is, I can Google it. There are no secrets in technique within that side of it. But from a coaching perspective, we must develop a way of thinking that makes it better. And not just at elite level, not just at an Olympic, standing on an Olympic court, but all the way back for every single person within our coaching structure. So I refer back to Jerry Braden. Jerry Braden thought about badminton, and he was an outstanding individual capable of delivering performance targeted play without ever being a performance player. So I think we really do need to have a different perspective within this framework. So from a Badminton Wales side of it, we're looking at our coach education, and now we're trying to move it a little bit away from coach education to coach development. What makes coaches better? So we are going to apply our traditions, but we have to be willing to innovate. In every sport I have ever come across, we talk about the players as being role models. So who wants to be the next Lin Dan? Who wants to be the next Tai Su Ying? Who wants to be the next athlete within that side of it? Absolutely, hugely, hugely important that we have these fantastic athletes that are our role models. But for me, the home coaches become a little bit more important. We get some expertise in from the foreign coach coming into our country. This happened in Ireland for years and years. We got foreign coaches coming in, mainly European, and it continues today. And that has been unbelievably good in terms of setting standards of behavior, in setting standards of coaching within this side. But I think home coaches are the ones that will make the difference to the national governing body as a whole. Individual players, no problem, that's fine. But as an entire association, as a country, it is the home coaches that are the ones that are going to decide. And I remember from my own personal experience, I remember watching a game long time ago, Morton Frost against Zhao Yanhua, and I remember probably Prakash Padukone playing on a TV match years ago. And I wanted to be them because that was not the game that I knew at that stage. But they weren't my role model. They were the first person. Yes, of course, the role model is most important. But Jerry Braden was the one that made me believe that I could get there. So I think if we can support our home coaches and make them better, and we can celebrate these home coaches, then what we can do is our role model shifts. Of course, the player gets a huge amount of support, but if we can support these home coaches better, we're going to get more players and more players and more players. So I think the role of coach development is far more important and often undervalued. I was a player. I was selfish. I wanted as much as I could possibly get. That was my job at that time. Now my job is to try and make sure there can be more players. And for me, the role of the coach becomes a hugely, hugely important aspect. How do we make those individuals better? The single biggest benefit that we have had, I think, in Badminton Wales has been the collaborative practice that we have been involved in the last, especially in the last 2 years. So I was a part of a cohort who are called SIMSPA coach developers. So Sport Wales and Cardiff Metropolitan University put together a course, and it was run over 2 years, but it wasn't about badminton, and it wasn't about technical content, and it wasn't about tactical content. It was about coaching. So pedagogical principles and why we do things and micropolitics and what makes us better. But the biggest advantage by far was the fact it was different sports working together. So on the course, there was myself, we had a professional rugby coach, 2 tennis coaches, there was gymnastics, triathlon, and equestrian. And the collaborative approach was enormously beneficial. Completely different ideas, completely different thought processes, of which we could then analyze and go into great details. We have done a huge amount of pathway development across sports. So again, it's not just what is good for badminton, it is what is good for sport in general. And it means that we challenge each other very, very frequently. We have very, very strong positive talks, internal talks with a variety of different stakeholders. We have developed resilience training projects specifically with Sport Wales. It may be slightly different across associations, but in the UK, in Ireland, safeguarding is an overwhelming priority within coaching. And so how we create safe training environments, but still develop the resilience that's required for the long-term well-being of an individual. Another collaborative thing we did with cricket and gymnastics and hockey is we ran a non-perfect parent. So again, Richard Shorter, fantastic individual, where he comes along and it does not matter the sport, but again, it's changing your ideas. What has it always happened? No, we're not going to do what was traditional. We're going to innovate. And one of the other big advantages of it, it just costs less. It's a lot cheaper to share those sort of burdens on that side of it. And the next thing that we try and do is run collaborative training camps. So currently I'm trying to organize one with badminton and sailing, and they are completely different sports. There is nothing similar in that side, but there is lots of individual things that we can mutually share, and we can move very, very, we can share resources. Individuals can do their technical stuff separately, and then they can go off for their own side. So for me, collaborative practice has been one of the key drivers of an increase in profile within coaching within Badminton Wales. And I'll go into it a little bit more detail. We're just coming up to 20 odd minutes, which I believe is we're going to have a little bit of a break for a couple of seconds. So just before we do this, I think it's really, really important that we invest in internal people. So in the NGB, not just the players. I think we invest heavily in the coaches and adding value to them, but also the governance, how we run our social media. I think you have an outstanding platform here from which to discuss things. I think it's absolutely brilliant. But the same thing will apply then within our administrators. So we can develop a para pathway or physios, what use of technology. But I think it's really, really important that we add value to everybody that we identify who is interested and who has the same sort of passion for the sport. Well, I'm kind of glad you had this side of it, because I think that's links very, very nicely in terms of that observation. One of the aspects that we look for now in terms of the coach development that we have been working with is the slides that I had before that had the Einstein quote on it. One of the aspects we're looking for is developing a person's quality of mind. It's a theorist from 1910. And this is a big part of what we try and integrate now into the coach education syllabus from shuttle time and up along the pathway as well. So that we're not just thinking on past experiences, but we are also thinking of things that we haven't seen yet. And so how do we influence the future development within our side? So we have to have an active engagement between what is seen and what we suggest. And so the role within the person's, their quality of mind is we move away from how did that session go? How did I coach that session? What was the forehand clear that I played like, or what was this? But why do I coach the way I do? So it becomes more a very important part where this coach is valued and how they become the role model. So why is it that I coach the way I do? And if I can be clear and identify why I do this, I can add greater value to myself. Yeah, so, or that quality of mind. So why do I coach the way I do? It becomes a driving force within that, adding value to the coach within that expression. So we add a few aspects of this, not huge detail, because we have to keep the integrity of the BWF course and what is required within that side. But we add extra bits and pieces, and there's quite a bit on this. The next one is we have a little bit of a competition. So Richard, perhaps you can be the moderator on this next side of it. When we spoke about observation and analysis, your competition a few seconds ago, your little quiz, So we use this, some may have seen it before, so I'll apologize if you have. But again, it's just to stimulate thought. So the competition, it will have 1 minute, and every single person has to be honest, and they must put their thumbs up when they see it. Okay? Now, it'll be a picture that will come on your screen. Everybody has to see it, but you'll know it when you see it. And if I'm allowed, I can ask one person to tell me what it is. So they can't just put their thumb up if they haven't seen it. So, exactly 1 minute. Are we ready?
How do I get my thumbs up?
Ah, you've got it. Excellent. Excellent. So usually on the board at the bottom, there's an emoji, or a thumbs up thing.
I think I've submitted.
30 seconds have gone. Has everybody seen it yet?
Still waiting for people to answer.
It's no pressure. Pressure is a privilege. Pressure is for tires, we say in Ireland. Just coming up to a minute now.
Okay. A Donal guest has seen it.
And how many have seen it at this point in time? I don't have access to the chat box at the moment. Oh, I do.
Unfortunately, I've only seen one response so far. I don't know if
It's
they're
a
looking
chance.
for the emoji also. Maybe if you
fair.
Oh, somebody has seen it.
Excellent.
Somebody else has seen it.
For those, it is a thing just to get us thinking about it from a coaching side of it. For those who have seen it, it's a baby. I don't know if you have noticed it yet. So you have in the trunk of the tree, I think, is there an annotation side of it? You have feet over it by the trunk of the tree, and you can see as it goes across the bottom of the lake is the baby's back, and then it goes up onto their forehead, and you have a little eyes and their hands, and they're all cuddled up together, so they're in a little fetal position. And we see things differently. Everybody sees things differently. We have different values and distinctions, what we put value into and what we see as important. And from a coaching perspective, of course, this happens all the time. So we do quite about a 20-minute or a half an hour, maybe a little bit longer, on observation and analysis, but it is based on trying to make things a little bit different in terms of what we see and how do we get that, how do we gain that insight when we're looking, and how do we learn to look for all these other aspects in terms of that side of it. So when we are having this, a lot of the time, for me, there was an investing in external people. We don't know what we don't know. So we have to find this knowledge, and we have to find that from other people as well. If I don't know it, I need to find things out. So I think it's really important that we do invest in external people, but not just specifically within badminton. I think from other sports, from other walks of life. I listened to a fantastic podcast recently, and Marink, he is a football futures coach in Anderlecht Football Club in Belgium. And in his training, he went to the Reichstag Museum to work in a high performance environment in art restoration. That was his high performing environment, and it gave him new ideas. So I think it's really important that we get external people and we invest in those. But then we have to extract all their knowledge. So now you get to be selfish. It is not just good enough for a person to come over and deliver what they want to deliver. You must take everything from them. You must be selfish in this side of it. But again, we cannot just blindly repeat. I think if Martin van Dormelen is here, who is probably in one of the most successful European coaches in a long time. If Martin comes to Wales and we put in the Dutch system from the Netherlands, it won't work because there is different politics, there is different structures, there is different. But if I can get all his information from him, I can take the bits that are important and really, really important and make them fit into my association. So we need to critically analyze all that information that we're getting from these external people. So we extract all their knowledge, we then critically analyze what they're saying, and then we adapt it to our culture, to our structures, to our systems. I think foreign coaches have been magnificent, absolutely magnificent, but frequently they're brilliant for individual players. So the players get better. But often the National Association, when they leave, the National Association is left with a little bit of a problem. So I think it's really important, and I make no apology for saying, if you do get these external people coming in, milk them for every piece of knowledge that they have. Ask question after question after question. Really, really important from my side of it. Then it comes back down to a question that I've never been able to answer myself. What makes it better? What makes anything better? So what makes the member association better, the NGB? So would anybody be better after this workshop? And how we decide what that measurement is. What would need to change in our behavior for something to be better? And I think this is we spend a lot of time thinking within this side of it. So what is our effective critical thinking that allows us to decide that something is better? The phrase that we have been using in since the chartership is, what is the difference that makes the difference? There aren't any secrets in technical skills. There aren't any secrets in tactical skills. What happens in China happens in the USA, happens in Denmark, happens in Wales, happens in everywhere. What is the difference that makes the difference? And for me, that investing in individuals can help within this side of it. And again, another little Albert Einstein comment, the imagination is more important than the knowledge. We have the knowledge, now we need the imagination to apply that across a range of fields and a range of disciplines. So from a Badminton Wales perspective, we have looked at our coaches, we've looked at the numbers of players in decline, and we said, well, how do we do something differently? So we are kind of changing our focus a little bit. So again, traditionally, you're a player, you finish playing, you become a coach. Why don't we start right from the word go, where we celebrate coaching as soon as possible? So we run a youth leaders, so from the age group 14 to 18, GCSE, sixth form, so in school. Doesn't have to be part of a club, but we can build it into their education system. So people get it's part of a Welsh system. I don't know how it applies, but in other countries. So we can now support children right from the word go in terms of coach development, coaching skills. What are the fundamental skills that coaches need? So rather than waiting until they finish playing and learning these, they start right from the word go, exact same time. We're running what we call an Aspire scheme. So again, identified primarily from that 16 to 18, but 16 to 20 is our general age group. And in that, we again run the BWF level 1 content. So over the course of 2 years, so there's no time pressure for exams or for other bits and pieces, other stresses if they're playing multiple sports, if they are athletes and playing, if you were going to a World Junior Championships. But over that period of time, we cover the entire content of the BWF level 1, plus an awful lot more. So observation and analysis, micropolitics, presentation skills, presenting to the board. They have to do research. We link them to a youth council that they are going to feed back in terms of the future development of the sport. And at the end of that period of time, it is still their responsibility to go and pass a BWF level 1. So it's not given to them. They still have to do it, and they have to prove that they are the competency. Of course, you will know shuttle time teachers. I think it's a fantastic resource. But for us, it didn't, the club players who had a little bit more knowledge, but maybe not so much of the pedagogy, they struggled a little bit with the shuttle time teachers. So we've adapted that as well for clubs. So we go into the clubs and we're still able to deliver the shuttle time content, but we get it a little bit closer to the BWF level 1. So that when the people do their BWF level 1, it is not such a big jump in terms of standards within that side of it. So we have our BWF level 1. We ran our last level, our first level 2 last year, and we would look to do that again in the future once the demand is there. And as it stands, we have 1 level 3 coach in Wales as well. We have now subsequently initiated a high impact coaching project, very specifically with a performance focus. So our head of performance is Graham Hurl, former GB England coach. He now has initiated this high impact project. But again, it is not specifically for standing on the Olympic court. It is for still grassroots development, but that grassroots coach needs to put in place things that allow that individual to maximize their potential. So it's really important that they have sight of what it takes to be on an Olympic court as well. We have a huge number of collaborative coaching initiatives that we do and we run, and the different sports have been hugely beneficial. And for us, what you are doing here now is fantastic. It's new for us. So we're initiating our coaching collective as well, but more targeted towards, again, grassroots and club coaching within that framework as well. What makes the rest of it better? Well, the future competition structure. By the way, I apologize. I've just realized that it's getting darker in my room. And yes, so it's, what is it now? Yeah, I'm going to turn on my light because it looks a bit funny. I do apologize. What is better? So we have to look at our competition structure from in that side of it. So particularly within schools, 3 sets to 21 does not work in a school's environment for us because of a time and you having to control it. So we look at a new variation within that. Sport Wales has initiated a new foundation framework, foundation coaching framework for getting badminton into from 4 to 10-year-olds. So that's brand new coming in within that side of it. Our schools initiatives become a big focus for us because we struggle with the number of clubs. So we need to make the school provision better. And that's a big key development. We have a new former football player as part of Badminton Wales, and he's initiating this new system within that side, and it's been very, very successful. It's not just singles. I think this is a difficulty side of it from a coaching. We kind of look because from a performance, maybe it's a little bit easier to get money within singles, but we have to cater for everybody. So it's not just singles. We actually play in some of our social competitions, we play triples just as something different. And we need to invest in our technical officials and our volunteers so that we're getting the structure of the entire organization better. And so what we have is we have a much longer term vision with our management of today. And I think that's a really, but we still have to, we live in the world we live in. We are all fighting for resources. I believe you have a huge advantage. I think Pan American Badminton has a huge advantage in that you don't have to be in any way a slave tradition. You can do things that absolutely suit yourself. It doesn't have to be like it is in England. England is a very traditional badminton sport, but it doesn't have to be like that. It can be whatever it is for yourself. So you can be as innovative as you want. I am a big fan of a Dr. Seuss children's book by the name of The Places You Go. And I think this is absolutely relevant. I read it to my children as they grew up. But you're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. I absolutely love the story behind it. We find it difficult on ourselves, but I think this is I think you are in a great position to really explode your knowledge base and have a fantastic number of players coming through. I do not believe passion leads to success. I think passion is a driver. I think passion is absolutely hugely important, but without thinking, it leads to problems. And I think I've seen this for a long number of years where two badminton people who are passionate argue so much and they fight and they fight and they fight because they're passionate about their sport until they both stop and we lose. We don't have to convince each other about how good badminton is. We have to convince the outside world about how good badminton is. And so we have to harness this passion in a positive way to create better opportunities for everybody. Yes, of course, we have our discussions and our arguments, and we are passionate people, but it cannot be destructive towards the sport as well and losing individuals. In conclusion, from my side of it, it's just coming under the 15 minutes. I think we need to invest in people. I think we need, especially in coaches. I think we need to invest in quality. So back onto the things that from a Badminton Wales perspective, I want to go on a course almost every week. There is somebody somewhere that is saying something that is interesting. I love them. I talk a lot and I listen a lot. Actually, I'd probably talk more. But what is of interest is different to what is of benefit. And you have to be really analytical. Unless you have completely unlimited resources, I think you have to make sure that you understand what is of real benefit. I then think you have to have a narrow focus, make sure that you are clear in what you are trying to achieve, and do that very, very well. You must have arguments. You must have lots and lots of discussions, but they have to be open and frank and respectful. A phrase we use, conflict is freedom. It absolutely is. If we have two people discussing and arguing and having conflict over a point, that's okay, as long as we are able to create those, because otherwise we don't go to the places that need to be to make us better. And I think it is really, really important that everybody works together. And I mean that from both internal within of course, we're competitors, but within country associations, they have to work together. But intra-country, between all your places, I think it is such a fantastic initiative that you have here, that countries come together and discuss their topics. Yes, and I think that, from my perspective, is just about it. So if you have any questions, please fire them away, and I'll try not to ramble on too much.
Okay, we will now move on to our question and answer section. Please, if you have any questions or comments you want to share, please write them down in the chat box. And let's see. It was definitely an interesting discussion you had here today. It's really some food for thought.
Yeah, I will say I really do think that across sports is a huge, huge benefit. And I can give a direct example back onto the side. So that coach chartership that we did, that SIMSPA chartership, the equestrian coach who is in their chosen sport is dressage. They are currently doing work with Manchester City Football Club as part of their coach development. And it challenges the coaches in a completely different way, because things that they are so ingrained in, we've only done it this way. This is what football coaching is now been asked by somebody who has never played football and who sits on a horse. And they're able to ask questions that coaches are going, I don't know why I do it that way. that's what we have always done. And it's been, so for me, if I would say one thing, if you can get input from completely different angles, it's really, really positive. From my experience, it has been really, really positive.
Well, as I said, it's an interesting take because, funny enough, just yesterday I had a discussion or an argument with another coach, and I guess it kind of leads me back to this question for you. You said, let's not get stuck up on the things we used to do in the past, but when you look at it now, and you said your membership was 5 or 6,000 strong, and now it's 1,600. Is there anything that you would take from the past to apply it now to try and get your membership back up to the levels it was before?
Absolutely. I think our tournament structures were better. I think we lost a lot of volunteers. I think there is a societal thing from badminton in Wales, but one of the things is we stuck to tradition. And if we look at it from a perspective of most people that play badminton within Badminton Wales look like me. We didn't engage within the broader global community of badminton players. So we need to create the tournaments that they enjoyed so much in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And so there was a better competition structure for everybody rather than just for the few. Because when we had the few playing, of course, as they get a little bit older, they retire, they finish, who takes over? Well, there wasn't anybody taking over. So we need to identify the right competitions for every person, whether they're 5-year-old or whether they're 105 years of age, their value is equal. And whether they're part of the Badminton Wales community directly as a member, it's fantastic if they are. But even if they're not, we have to be able to provide an opportunity for them. One example is this: there is a club called Dynamos who cannot play on a Saturday and a Sunday. They can't play their tournament on a Saturday and a Sunday. So every time we have played a tournament on a Saturday and a Sunday, we exclude a huge number of people. We're not providing the right competition. And we need to do something different within that environment. And that's what we are looking at trying to do as well. So we have to move away from the traditions, but keep those aspects of it, the celebration of those competitions that have created a huge amount of success in history.
Well, that's another interesting point because, I mean, in the case where people can't play on a Saturday and Sunday, how do you run your competitions? Do you run them during the week? Because, I mean,
precisely. It's finding that solution. So the reason a majority of those people are of that particular club are they work in the catering industry and they work in hospitality. So weekends is where they earn their money. So you can't put a tournament on, they're giving up their life to, and that. So now we have to find a different way of dealing with that. But equally, if we put a tournament on a Tuesday, we're excluding somebody else. So we have to find different competitions for different people and then bring them all into the Badminton Wales umbrella. So that's one of our aspirations, to do that.
Okay, interesting. I'd like to know more how you solve that problem when you do. And then, as I said, you put a rather thoughtful spin on it. Coaches education versus coaches development.
Yes.
And I think that's very important because I'm involved in coaches education also, but hearing you talk about coaches development now has made me think a little bit more about what I need to be doing.
I only have experience from sort of Ireland and Wales on that side in real terms. What I found was that the certification, I have got my cert, that makes me previously a UKCC level 1 coach, or in Ireland a level 1, 2, 3, or the BWF. I'm now a level 1 coach. But actually what you do is you just have a series of facts available to you that you have done on a weekend course. So my first part of that question was, if you had your if you have a child, if I took Gethin or Nia and I said, dear coach, you have done a weekend or 2 weekends of learning how to coach, have my child and take my child into the future. If you applied that to school, you wouldn't even think of doing that. If a teacher had done 2 weeks of a course or 2 weekends of a course, you wouldn't be giving your child to that person straight away. They need that experience. But the national governing body needs to provide that opportunity that coaches can develop and learn together. And this is why I love what you have done here, where coaches come together and they can talk about things and they can discuss it and they can argue and then they can bring what is the right thing away. And we just apply that in the BWF syllabus.
Okay. We do have a comment here from Raul. He says, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and experience. It's been excellent. And that's Raul from Colombia.
Thank you, Raul.
Okay.
Thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Well, we're glad you did, because I got
my hair cut today especially for you because I was a bit furry.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, well, I don't see anybody else having any more comments at this time. Sometimes comments come in like just as we're ending up.
What I would say is absolutely feel free to just, you can email me directly, anybody that they want. I'm absolutely delighted to get input from anybody anywhere in the world. Yeah, so if anybody wants to ask any questions subsequently, I'm absolutely delighted.
Oh, definitely. I'll be asking Badminton Panam for your contact so we can have some more dialogue.
No problems at all. It would be absolutely my pleasure.
Okay. All right. Anyways, we're just upon time. So, dear Donal, we sincerely thank you for your insightful presentation. It has been a privilege to hear your perspectives and learn from your experiences in developing coaching programs. Your insights provided valuable takeaways for our audience, inspiring new approaches to coach education and development. We truly appreciate your time and expertise, and we hope to have you with us again in future editions of the program. Okay. Just waiting for production to catch up a little bit.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Very well. The time has come to go to the city of Lima, home of the Pan American Badminton Confederation, where our Director of Development, Juan Pablo Alvarado, is waiting for us for the end of the season report. Go ahead, Juan Pablo.
Thank you, Richard. As we conclude this 13th season of the Coach Corner webinar, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to each one of you for your participation, engagement, and commitment to continuous learning. My name is, as mentioned, Juan Pablo Alvarado, Development Director of Badminton Panam, and it is my true honor and privilege on behalf of the team to share you some numbers of this season of the program. Over this season, we had the privilege of sharing insights and changing experiences and strengthening our coaching communities. We had in total 11 webinars, and in total among the 13th season, we reached the number 151 webinars, a big number. And we are confident that it's helping in the development and growth of the sport. We want to thank our panelists and speakers who generously share their experience and expertise with each one of us. Their contributions have provided valuable perspectives to enhance coaching skills. Thank you as well for our translation team, Marion and Bruno, who make this happen, and of course, the staff of the office, Jorge and Delia, who make this happen, and our moderator teams, Richard and Adrian, who help us to go throughout this way. We had in total 30 countries among all this season, presented from the 5 continents, who in one episode or another, they were able to join us in this season. It's good to see this worldwide representation among our program, and we thank each one of you for your participation. These are the numbers that of the webinars on our YouTube channel. In total, we have in this season more than 1,000 views on our channel, and on total across the 13 seasons, we have around more than 57,000 views once we uploaded the webinars in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and French, at our YouTube channel. Feel free to scan this QR code so you can access this and other webinars that constitutes a virtual library available for all the coaching and all the badminton family across the world. Thank you for everyone, but especially to those who were most constant across this season. Case of Randy Bonilla from Costa Rica, Jorge Aguilar from Mexico, Guillermo Rojas from Peru, and Andres Rederos from El Salvador. And the countries who were with the highest participation numbers are Colombia in the first place, Chile, and Mexico. Thank you very much for all your contribution and your participation in this webinar. So as we wrap up, we look forward to continue this journey together. Stay connected, keep learning, and let's keep working towards the betterment of badminton. We hope to see you in future sessions and initiatives. Thank you again. Until the next time. Back to you, Richard.
Thank you very much, Juan Pablo. We encourage you to write to us and make proposals for topics that interest you to be included in the 14th season that we are already preparing. In addition, we invite you to consult BPAC YouTube channel, where you can see this and other conferences we've held. It's time to give pass to Mr. Herman Valdez, Head of Operations of Badminton Panam, who will be in charge of the closing remarks. Go ahead, Herman.
Dear coaches and badminton friends, today is a special day as we close another season of Coach Corner, a space for learning and growth that we have built together over time. With this webinar, we reached the incredible milestone of 151 episodes, solidifying our position as a leading platform for coach education and development in our region and beyond. Throughout this 13th season, we have explored key topics for badminton development, covering from coach education to the application of science and technology in sports. We started a season with Wojciech from Poland, who provided an in-depth analysis of double skills, women doubles, men doubles, and mixed, and effective training methods. Then Steve Smith from United Kingdom introduced us to the ecological dynamics approach to enhance athlete learning and physical condition, an innovative perspective on adapting training to each player. We concluded this session with Donal from Wales, who shared his insights on badminton coach education in Wales, reflecting the challenges and aspirations in shaping the next generation of badminton coaches. One of the main pillars of this season was inclusion in badminton. Johannes from Malaysia highlighted the importance of designing training strategies for players with intellectual disabilities, ensuring that everyone could thrive in this sport. Meanwhile, Guillaume from France spoke about training players with lower limb prosthesis, emphasizing the role of biomechanics and technique adaptation in optimizing performance. Sports science also played a key role this season. Rabiu from Malaysia introduced us to the machine learning model for personalized workload management and innovative tool for optimizing athlete training and recovery. Similarly, Dr. Steffi from the United Kingdom demonstrated how on-court workload can be measured using only video, a revolutionary method for monitoring performance without the need of costly sensors or equipment. Finally, we explored the physiological aspects that influence athlete performance. Mary Carmen from Spain discussed the impact of the menstrual cycle on badminton, a crucial topic for understanding performance variations and optimizing training accordingly. Additionally, Fern from BWF shared a key learning from delivering the Olympics and Paralympic Games, offering valuable insights into the planning and organization of high-level events. It has been an enriching season, full of learnings and discussions that inspire us to keep improving. We sincerely thank each of our speakers for sharing their knowledge and expertise, and all of you, coaches and participants, for being part of this community. At Badminton Panam, we affirm our commitment to continuous education and growth of badminton in all its dimensions. Today, we close the 13th season with 151 episodes, a remarkable achievement that reflects the dedication and effort of everyone involved in this program. We look forward to seeing you in the next season of Coach Corner, where we will continue bringing innovation, knowledge, and passion for our sports. Thank you very much to you all.
Thank you, Herman. Before closing today's webinar, we'd like to greet all of our audience who joined us today, especially those who sent their photographs to our Coach Family segment that you're about to see now. So we have Sebastian from Costa Rica. Did anybody else send in? Okay, that seems to be it. We'd like to thank the rest of our audience who joined us today. Your participation is greatly appreciated. We have Sebastian from Argentina, Edgar from Bolivia, Susanna from Chile, Raul from Colombia, Randy from Costa Rica, Walvin from Dominican Republic, Jose and Jorge from Mexico, Guillermo from Peru, and Andy from Great Britain. Thank you for joining us today. On behalf of Badminton Panam, once again, we thank you for your participation, and we hope you enjoyed today's session. Take care, stay safe, and see you in the next season.